Hi kids. This little video is designed to introduce you to the basic building blocks in Lego. It's just an overview of the parts we use, and over time you will learn more about different parts. Some of you are experts with Lego and you're way better at them than me, so that some of this information might seem very fundamental and basic. But again, the reason we're doing this is because having this knowledge is important because it allows you to build faster and problem solve efficiency. And a big part of STEM is that problem solving with efficiency, knowing what parts to go for and which parts to use to solve the problem quickly and efficiently so you can build faster. Okay, so that's why we go over this knowledge, just to kind of fill in the gaps in terms of how we will look at these from a STEM point of view. Okay, couple things to keep in mind. We will be working with a combination of Technic parts and basic Lego parts. All right, so couple things to point out. Techniques are just the newer version of Legos. They are more dynamic in what you can do with them. They're kind of like Legos upgraded, all right, the next version. The other thing is that there are many knockoff versions of Legos, and we may come in contact with them, and we're going to learn how Legos, K'NEX, and M-Gears became compatible building systems. Like this right here, this is a little knockoff Lego block right here, and the difference is with this one is it's still compatible with Lego. It does everything you want it to do with Lego. But you know, Lego has really cornered the market on the polymers and the plastics, which make their bricks stay together real well. Whereas with the knockoff versions or the imitation Legos, the plastic isn't of the highest quality that Lego or the quality that Lego uses. Another thing that you'll come in contact, this is a K'NEX brick, okay, and it's designed to be compatible with Lego. And we'll talk more about K'NEX and M-Gears and how Lego and these three building systems all can come together later in Enrichment. All right, so let's go on to a discussion about the bricks. A couple things to think about. Bricks are the fundamental unit. Okay, this brick, all right, this brick right here is a 2x4 brick, and it's a 2x4 brick because you have 2x4, all right, in its array. And that's how we identify bricks, okay? Bricks are identified by their array. Like this brick right here would be the one I just showed you, and it is 2x4. This brick right here, kind of hard to see, so I'm going to do it this way, is 1, 2 by 2. So it's a 2x2 brick. This is a 2x4 brick. And then this one over here would be a 1 brick by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a 1 by 8 brick. And then of course you have your 1 by 3 and your 1 by 2, and you even have a brick which is 1 by 1. And I dropped it down in there. Oh well. Okay, so those are the basics of bricks and how the 2x4 brick is your basic brick unit, okay? And so everything else is kind of like I measure it from this brick up or down, and I reference this brick a lot, okay? A couple other important things to look at when we're talking about bricks, okay? Bricks are based on, they're named based on their array. The array is this pattern of pegs that hold your brick together, okay? And what they do is they form up points. So we have, you know, we have 2 by 4, okay? So that is a 2x4 array up above, okay? So when we talk about the name, it's based on the pegs up above, okay? So that's a 2x4 right there, all right? The other thing is that these bricks are equivalent in nature. In other words, they are designed so that you can put them together and make equivalencies. So 2x2 bricks are equivalent to a 2x4 brick. And we'll talk more about equivalencies and bricks in another video, but Legos are designed to be equivalent so that things fit together well. One of the things that's important, though, is to note the height, the length, and the width when you're working with Legos. So noting the length, width, and height is important because the associative property will have us interchanging, and thinking about them based on length, width, and height, but multiplying them to get the answers in a certain way each time. So in other words, what I'm saying is, this is the length of 2, a width of 4, and a height of 1 is what we'll have to say that, because we don't have any other reference point. So when we talk about the length and width, we're talking about the pegs up above. Okay, so we have 2 and then we have 4. So this is a 2x4 brick. But then when you start talking about the height, we could say this is a 1 unit, but it's not going to be very accurate in terms of these numbers because these are based on the pegs. So when we talk about the length, width, and height, one of the things that I will refer to is I will just simply say, okay, we're going to measure the length in centimeters, we're going to measure the width in centimeters, and then we're going to measure the height in centimeters. That way we can take measurements, okay? But so when we're talking about the length, the width, and the height, we're going to use centimeters and millimeters, but when we're talking about the name of the brick, we're going to use the length and the width that form the peg array to give us its name, okay? All right, so enough with the bricks, and let's talk a little bit about plates, okay? These are the plates, okay? Plates come in many different sizes, many different shapes. Some of the plates are really, really big, and some of them are very, very small. The plates are the thin version of the block, and remember I said that Legos are, by nature, they form equivalents. So if I were to take this plate and I were to stack another plate on it, I could begin getting the thickness of the bricks, okay? The height of the bricks. And that's important because sometimes we use those as shims, okay? Plates are classified by their arrays also. So if we look at the plates down below, you see that we have this plate right here. You'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 6 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would be a 6 by 8 plate. This plate would be a 4 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A 4 by 8. And plates will go all the way down to a 1 by 2 plate. And then we have 1 by 3 plates. Okay? So they're also classified by the array that is formed by the pegs. Okay? So this would be a 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 by 10. Right? Whoops. Get rid of that. Still getting used to this iPad. There are Lego plates as well as Technic plates. Okay, so a Technic plate is different than a Lego plate because Technic plates will have these holes in them. Okay, let me grab another one that might show you the holes there. There we go. So this is a Lego plate, and this is a Technic plate. The Technic plate has the holes in it for axles and stuff like that. And we'll talk a little bit more about those as well. 3 plates stacked on together, 3 plates stacked together will equal the height of 1 block. So again, that's one of those things that I pointed out to you, that when you stack 3 plates on top of each other, they're going to give you the thickness of 1 block. Okay? And some of, we know that, but it's kind of neat to be told, specifically that is one of the features, the equivalencies, and we're going to use those, especially when we work with motors, for shimming the motor to height. Notice that word, shimming the motor to height. Sometimes the motor height needs to be adjusted perfectly, and we need to put it on a plate, which is on top of the block. Okay? So anyways, that's plates. And then there's a neat part, which I don't use that often, but we will use them and we should become familiar with them because they're popular. They're called the angles. And these are the parts that simply have bevels on them, okay? So a couple things to remember there is that angles are blocks which have a sloping face, okay? So this is a sloping face. They can be many different shapes and sizes. They can be small, or they can be very, very large, okay? These are used to build roofs, okay? They were real big when I was a kid for building houses and stuff, okay? They are often used for making the roofs, and we will use them for foundations. Oftentimes, I will use these angled parts because we don't have a lot of them for roofs, so I will use them as a foundation part, like this, okay? And then we can build off of that, such as this, okay? And so they give us a nice foundation to build off of, okay? So anyways, those are angles, and I will sometimes call them beveled parts. Now, the beveled parts are measured the same way as any other block. In other words, this right here, we have our, when we look at this one, we have a distance, all right, of 3. So in other words, this distance is actually equal to 3 pegs. Let's see if I can show you on here, okay? Its width is equal to 3 pegs. So this would be a 3 by 4. This is equal to 2, all right, that one right there. Okay, if I look at this one and I put a brick up there, its width is 2. So this one would be a 2 by 4. This would be a 2 by 2 angle. This would be a 3 by 2 angle, all right? So those are angles. Next, we have the Technic bricks. Technic bricks are just like the other Lego bricks. Oh, I keep doing that. Technic bricks are just like Legos. Technic bricks are unique in the sense that they have these axle holes in them, okay? And this is where the axle will go through, all right? The holes in a Technic brick are very helpful for measuring distances. So if I give you a part and I say, okay, we're going to measure, you need to get an axle, you can use it. This is really bad. This is not working. Here we go. We'll just do it like that. You can measure parts by counting the holes, okay? So we use the techniques for measuring and identifying parts as well. They will be used a lot for cars and gear trains, okay? That's where the techniques really come into play. Technic plates, okay? Just like a regular plate, Technic plates they have axle holes in them so that you can put an axle in and it will go vertically, okay? That's why they have those holes in them. They are used for setting up the vertical, like I just showed you, axle situations, and they are identified by their pegs and arrays. Like this would be this one right there, of course, would be a 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this would be a 2 by 8. So it's the same as an other plate, okay? So this would be a 2 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a 2 by 6 plate, all right? So plates are pretty much the same in Technic as they are in Legos, except for they are used to give you vertical axles. A couple things to remember. Okay, dang, I keep doing that. I gotta start erasing things. Okay, a couple things to remember. You will earn and return your parts for each project. So in other words, you're not going to have a full bag of parts. You'll get the parts and come back, and we'll talk more about that. You need to be very accurate, as you're not going to be allowed multiple trips up. So when you get your parts for a project, you make a list of your parts and you go to get them, you need to be very accurate because you're not going to be running back and forth, okay? So make sure you're accurate when you make your list of parts. Be sure you're neat and organized when getting your parts. We don't want you spilling in the other bins, dropping parts all over the floor, or anything like that. And remember, these parts are limited. The parts area, it's limited to 2 or 3 people at a time. So if you're not accurate, you're going to end up wasting a lot of your time and other people's time. All right, so anyways, we're going to call it quits for this video. Looking forward to doing Legos with you, kids.